and welcome to the Autocar show. Now they say first impressions are lasting ones and definitely the most important ones. Well, going by that adage, in our comparison today, it's the Honda Amaze that has the advantage. It's not easy packing a 3-box design into a sub 4 meter footprint, but looks like Honda's designers have cracked it. The Amaze looks like it's designed to be a saloon right from the beginning, unlike the Swift Dzire, where it looks like the boot has been stuck on to a very unwilling Swift. Well, that chopped off look definitely hasn't hampered the sales of the Dzire. It sells 14,000 units a month, and until car sales took a dip recently, the waiting list for this one stretched from here all the way to Japan. Well, now it has the Amaze to compete with in its territory, and at 7.6 lakhs, this top-end VX ID Tech Amaze is about 9,000 rupees more expensive than the similarly spec'd Swift Dzire. Does the Amaze have what it takes to beat the best in the business? Is what we want to find out. The Dzire is based on the Swift and the Amaze on the Brio, and both share the dashboard with their hatchback siblings. This puts the Amaze a little at a disadvantage because the Swift is actually a half a class above the Brio. And this difference is evident from the Dzire's stylish dashboard. On the inside is the Swift Dzire that has the more stylish, more upmarket interior that's more suited to a car of this segment. It's got a dual-tone dash, nice integrated music system, electronic display for the AC controls. It's got wood garnish and some nice touches like the cup holders as well. And on the whole, definitely the better looking interior. Though the quality on the Amaze is fine, the vents, center console and the instrument panel don't line up in the traditional sense. And the joint on the glove box looks a little misaligned. Even the instruments, though easy to read, don't look as classy or as sophisticated in the Dzire. Both cars are pretty functional and the Amaze has lots of storage too. Going beyond the look of the interior, the Amaze begins to impress. The driving position is good, the dashboard low, and the controls, clutch, throttle and steering all require less effort than the Dzire. The Amaze with its larger glass areas has an airy ambience to it that's missing in the Dzire. Now when it comes to the boots, if you pack cleverly, actually both these boots can get quite a lot in. But it's really the Amaze's 400-litre boot that's so well designed, it's got depth, it's got width, that packs in quite a bit more. On the feature front, they both come with 2 airbags, USB connectivity, alloy wheels and remote locking. The Dzire offers climate control and a CD player, both of which the Amaze doesn't have. The Amaze offers only electric ORVMs over the Dzire. The big news in this story though is Honda's new diesel engine. It's a 1.5 litre with 98.6 bhp and 20.4 kgm of torque. The all-aluminium engine has all the credentials on paper. Now what the figures don't tell you is how responsive the Amaze's engine really is. If I'm at low RPMs, I lift off, put my foot down again, Amaze always responds, and you can actually pull from, well, let's slow down, almost 1200 RPM and pull all the way to the red line, which comes in at a very early 4200 RPM. But there's a lot of meat in the mid-range, and coupled with the well-matched gear ratios, you can always surf a wave of torque. The Dzire, on the other hand, with its 1.3-litre engine has noticeably more turbo lag, and you have to churn the motor past 1800 RPM to get it going. Once you pass that, the turbo kicks in quite strongly and makes the Dzire actually feel quite quick. You ride a strong wave of torque. It also revs more than the Amaze's engine, and you can push it up to 5200 RPM. But power dies out at the last 1000 RPM, making it feel a bit like a rubber band being stretched if you push it. Now the biggest weakness of the Swift Dzire is its lethargy at low speeds. Especially if you're in traffic, stop-start, you have to lift off, put your foot down again. You really have to work the gears and spin the motor past 2000 RPM to get the best out of it. In the flat-out acceleration, the Amaze was quickest, hitting 100, almost half a second quicker than the Dzire. This figure might have been better if we weren't restricted by the 2000 RPM rev lock when the car is stationary. It didn't quite allow us to get the launch we would have liked. And when we pressed on to 140, the Amaze was a whole 3.2 seconds quicker than the Dzire. Now, however amazing the Amaze's engine may be in all other aspects, it has one big flaw. Rev it hard and you will definitely hear it. But even when you're not revving hard, it is very audible. You hear this clatter in the background, and there's also vibrations coming in from the floorboard and from the pedal. Now the Swift Desire's engine is quite audible too, but compared to the Amaze, it's much smoother and far more refined throughout the range. On the dynamics front, it's the Amaze that is really ahead. The steering responds well, the body control is good, and it handles really well. It gives you a sense of confidence when you're driving fast. And even when you're in the city, at slower speeds, it's light and easy to maneuver. The Dzire, with its softer suspension, just doesn't give you the same planted feel. The softer suspension and the 15-inch tires of the Swift Dzire give it a marginally better ride than the Amaze, and it deals with the bumps and potholes with a soft suppleness. The Amaze, on the other hand, has a slightly firmer ride, but the difference is marginal, and at a higher speed, it does feel more stable and has less movement than the Dzire. Now, despite the Amaze actually being 25 mm shorter than the Swift Dzire, there's a lot more space inside. Thanks to Honda's man maximum, machine minimum philosophy, with the dash pushed forward and the slimmer seat backs, there's loads of legroom for the rear passengers here, and the seats themselves are more comfortable too. The Dzire, in contrast, with its tighter space and smaller windows, feels more claustrophobic. Now, apart from how these cars look, what features they offer and how they feel out on the road, if you're buying into a diesel, you definitely want to know how easy they will be on the wallet. Well, Honda have claimed that the Amaze was the most fuel-efficient car in the country, and our tests have confirmed that. The Amaze gave us 15.2 kilometers per litre in the city and 20.8 kilometers per litre on the highway. These figures are great, especially when you consider it's a 1.5 litre engine with a very healthy 98.6 bhp. The Dzire was not far behind with 14.6 kilometers per litre in the city and 19.8 on the highway, but one must remember it's a smaller capacity engine too. Well, it's a closely fought battle, and the Swift Dzire definitely has a lot of strong points in its favour. It's better equipped, it feels more solid, it's got the better low-speed ride, and it definitely has the richer cabin. But on the whole, it's the Honda Amaze that comes across as user-friendly and practical. It's spacious, it has a large boot, the great performance, handling and comfort make it easy to drive, and when you consider the way it looks and the fuel efficiency figures, it becomes the one that we would pick in this battle.